All right, guys, welcome to week 3. So we are discovering all about the power of changing our mind and retraining our brain. And this topic, honestly, is probably one of my favorite topics to study, to talk about, to share, because it's literally been the key to totally transforming my relationship with alcohol and really creating a whole new reality around and a new experience around alcohol for me. So 12 years ago, even just a few years ago, if you would have told me that if I was given a choice to drink in moderation, and here you're able to drink in moderation, it's no problem, and this is your choice, or you can choose not to drink ever again, in my mind, there is no way that I would ever be at a place where I would consciously choose not to drink because I didn't want to. Like I didn't want to. It was always a feeling of that's the best choice for me. I need to for my health, or whatever. Like I should not drink, and therefore, I can't drink and I won't drink. But I never thought I would be so free to literally not have the desire anymore. I can honestly tell you that if there was a fairy godmother that could grant me one wish around alcohol, it wouldn't be that I could drink normally again. I don't want to drink normally. I just don't want to drink. Even if I was able to drink normally, I just wouldn't want to. And that is a miracle for me, a miracle. The reason why I'm able to be in this space is because I examined my thoughts and my beliefs around my drinking and what was causing my feelings of deprivation and my feelings of, all of these things that were uncomfortable for me. I examined them and I learned how to reprogram and reframe my mind and change my thinking around that. And now I truly have a totally new set of belief systems that allow me the freedom to happily pass on the alcohol. And it's so wonderful. It's so freeing. And I'm really excited to share this with you. Now, the caveat is that this is not, I do call it the magic formula, but it's not, unfortunately, not like abracadabra overnight magic pill. This, as is anything that's worth having, it takes practice. It takes some level of, it takes effort, it takes work, it just takes dedication. You have to really want to change your belief systems in order to do it, because it takes persistence, it takes consistency, and it takes practice. But if you're here, you're wanting to change your relationship with alcohol, I'm guessing that you're probably, have enough of a desire to really, truly change that. Because in weeks 1 and 2, we talked a lot about physical cravings. We talked about physical urges. We talked about how to ride them out. And we talked about the fact that your body can unlearn that. It can stop desiring and craving the urge when you stop responding to and obeying that urge. The physical cravings and symptoms start to dissipate and eventually go away, and you never have to experience a physical craving again. However, just because you're not having a physical craving doesn't mean that there's not an emotional and a mental craving and desire going on. In fact, that a lot of times is stronger than the actual physical craving. So how do we get rid of the emotional and the mental cravings? Those mental and emotional cravings are there because there's so much programming in our society and long-standing belief systems that we've had since childhood about what alcohol is and what it does for us and all of the wonders of alcohol. So we've got a lot of emotional desire, a lot of emotional and mental desire for alcohol. How do we unlearn that? How do we retrain our brains? How do we change our belief systems so that we no longer have any desire to drink? If it sounds like a miracle, that's because it is a miracle, but it is totally possible. In the Course in Miracles, a miracle is defined as a shift in perception, which I love because that's exactly what we're doing. We are shifting our perception, we're changing our thoughts, we're retraining our brain, we're reframing and looking at things differently, and we're doing that over and over and over and over again until it sticks. and that becomes our new belief system. If you remember in like weeks 1 and 2, I briefly mentioned that the mind is like an iceberg. So we've got a small percentage of that that's conscious, and we've got a huge portion that's unconscious or subconscious underneath our conscious awareness. That's where our belief systems lie, is underneath the surface in the subconscious. How did those belief systems get there? Well, we created them, and we created them a long, long time ago, most of them. From infancy, in childhood, early childhood, we got them from the people around us. And we picked up belief systems from our parents, from our society, from our culture, from our community, from our schools, from our classmates, from our teachers, from our pastors, from our churches. And we, as children, decided what beliefs we wanted to take in and create and make our own, and which ones we wanted to reject. And because every person is so different, we have different personalities and different, all sorts of different filters, we have created our own unique set of belief systems that we've taken in, that we've rejected, and those become our subconscious belief systems. The other way that we've created them is not just other people's belief systems, but also by the things, the experiences that have happened to us, or things that people have said to us, or the way that people have, acted towards us. We have taken circumstances from our youth, and we've created our own meaning of what that means. If, for example, if someone, let's say we had a classmate that, told us we were ugly, or, or fat, or stupid, or whatever. And, as a 7 or 8-year-old, we took that literally. We heard that, and we took that in, and we started to believe that about ourselves. And then we started looking for all the evidence that would prove that belief system was true. Because as a child, you don't have that maturity and that objectiveness to be able to look at that and say, oh, well, that's their opinion, that's their belief system, that's what they think, but that has nothing to do with me. We're not able to separate ourselves like that as a child, especially when those things are said and done to us by people that we look up to and that we admire, our parents and things like that. So, a lot of times we wonder, well, why do I have such low self-esteem, or why do I have a bad body image, or, why do I feel so stuck around certain areas of my life? Well, if you look underneath the surface and you look at some of the belief systems that you created from your childhood, you're going to discover why. And the really, really cool thing is that you don't have to keep those belief systems. Yay! You don't have to keep the belief systems that you created when you were a child, and you didn't have the greater perspective and the mature perspective that you do now as an adult. You can look at your belief systems that are holding you back, that aren't creating results in your life, and you can choose. You can recognize that, wow, that was a belief system that I created based on false information, or information that just doesn't serve me anymore. It was their thing, not mine. Or maybe something really traumatic and tragic happened to you in your childhood. Maybe you were abused in some way. And of course, as a child, we make that mean that, we're unworthy, or that we're dirty, or that we're not lovable, Now, the truth is that is not true. We've created an untrue meaning of what happened to us. And so what we can do now in our adulthood, in our maturity, we can look at that. We can look at those situations, and we can choose to keep them, or we can choose to let them go and create new belief systems that are going to serve us better. So in some cases, this really takes a lot of courage to kind of dive underneath the surface. And what you're going to find is that lower brain, or that bad wolf that we talked about in weeks 1 and 2, that part of your brain is going to come in, and it's going to tell you all of the thoughts. It's going to reinforce the thoughts that it's practiced thinking over and over and over and over for years. So that's why it takes a lot of persistence and a lot of focus, because we're used to just believing our thoughts. We have a thought that we're not good enough, or we have a thought that alcohol provides relief. We have a thought that, we should do certain things, or whatever the thoughts are. And we believe those to be true because we've practiced them over and over and over. So the reality is our thoughts and our feelings stem from our belief systems. And those belief systems were created a long, long time ago. And there are some areas of our life where we are living out of outdated, outmoded belief systems that aren't serving us anymore. So what we need to do is take a look, and specifically the area of, in your relationship with alcohol, what are the belief systems that are running the show right now, that are creating results in my life and feelings around alcohol that I don't like? And then we begin to reframe them and shift them and create new belief systems based on the new thoughts and feelings that we want to feel. Isn't that exciting to know that that's possible? And we know that's possible. Back in the day, we used to, science said, brain is fixed. Our personality, our character, once you get to a certain point, you learn certain things, whatever, that's it. You can't change who you are. And they said things like once an addict, always an addict, and all this, BS. But what we know now with the new science that's come in, with the new neuroscience information, that there's neuroplasticity in the brain, and that we can sever synapses and create new synapses to create totally new ways of thinking, new ways of being, which create new belief systems. Neurons that neurons that fire together, wire together. So that means when we fire together new neurons, new ways of thinking, and we practice it, wires together. Eventually it begins to wire together to create a whole new way of thinking. Just like the example of the grooved roads, where we have gone back and forth on this habit, this drinking habit, right? And we've created these deeply indented grooves in that pathway. It takes a lot of consciousness and awareness and strength and dedication and persistence to get yourself up out of the grooves and onto a new path. But is it possible? Hell yeah, it's possible. And is it worth it? Yeah. Yes. 1,000 times yes. And so I get really excited about talking about this and teaching this, because it can totally transform literally any area of your life. This is how you can grow in self-confidence. This is how you can change the way that you see yourself. This is how you can start loving yourself more, loving others more, forgiving and letting go of just all the things that don't serve you anymore. But this week we're going to be talking specifically about topics around your relationship with alcohol. So I'm super excited. I hope you are too. So just as an intro to the magic formula, okay? I call this the magic formula, but there are lots of different terms and ways of teaching it. I did not come up with it, and I actually don't know who did, but there's a lady named Brooke Castillo who I love and follow, and she's kind of a mentor of mine. I listen to her podcast. She calls it the model. I've also heard it termed the think, feel, act cycle. And pretty much most any self-development and self-growth guru or teacher teaches this in some form or the other. The semantics might be different, the words that they use or the way they explain it, but this idea has been taught for hundreds of years, and it's incredibly powerful. So your thoughts are a catalyst for self-perpetuating cycles. What you think directly influences how you feel and how you behave. So as an example, if you think that alcohol is the only way to have fun, or that it's the only way to relax, then you're going to feel deprived, left out, and resentful without it. So if you're at a party or at a get-together, or at a Christmas gathering or Thanksgiving gathering, and you believe or your the thoughts in your head are that everybody else is having so much more fun because they get to drink. My life would be so much better. My night would be so much better if I could just drink. Like, it'd be, I'm just missing out. I'm not having as much fun as everybody because they get to drink and I don't. If those are the thoughts in your head, you are not going to have as much fun, right? When you feel deprived, left out, and resentful, you don't enjoy yourself. And then that reinforces your belief that, I guess I'm right. Alcohol must be the only way to have fun and relax. Do you see? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Our thoughts and our emotions are intertwined. A thought will give rise to a feeling will give rise to a thought. And just like I talked about earlier, those underlying beliefs that many times are unconscious end up giving rise to both thoughts and feelings. So the thoughts and feelings that we have come from the depths of our subconscious belief systems. Now, this is so interesting. All the circumstances, literally all the circumstances, everything that's happened to us, all the people that we come in contact with, literally everything is experienced by us through the filter of our beliefs, our thoughts, and our feelings about those circumstances and happenings and people, etc. So once we draw a conclusion about it, we end up doing two things, because this is human nature. When we have a conclusion about something or belief about something, we do two things. We look for evidence that reinforces that belief, and we also discount anything that runs contrary to the belief. We want to prove ourselves right. So we look for evidence that proves us right, and we reject evidence that disproves it. So learning how to observe and direct your thoughts is the first step to changing how you feel around a particular topic or yourself. You can train your brain to think differently. And the more you practice new thoughts and new feelings, the more you begin to the more you begin to perceive the topic differently, and your beliefs begin to shift and become more positive and constructive. So we literally can reverse engineer and create any feeling, action, or outcome that we desire. And isn't that exciting? It's so exciting. And this is when true freedom begins. So, I bet you guys are anxious to hear about the magic formula, or the think, feel, act cycle. You can call it whatever you want. The CTFAR formula. Get out your pens and paper. Albert Einstein said, "The world we have created is a process of our thinking, and it cannot be changed without changing our thinking." We run around and we wonder why we have these issues, and they keep coming up, and they, over and over, and we keep dealing with the same stuff over and over. We don't realize that in order to change anything, we can't manipulate our external world and expect things to change permanently. We can for a little bit, but it doesn't change permanently. The only way to change is to change ourselves, to change our thinking. And it takes a lot of awareness and consciousness and, a real choice to change that. So I'm just going to go through this formula with you and just kind of give you definitions of each aspect of the formula. C stands for circumstance. And the definition of circumstances is things in your life that you don't have any control over. These are facts that are provable in the court of law. So this means other people and their behavior, the past, anything occurring outside of your control. And circumstances can trigger thoughts. Now, a thought is one sentence in your mind that you have about the circumstance. So this is a judgment, it's an assessment, and this is where you have choice. Now, the C and the T, the circumstance and the thought, this is where it's very important to have the distinction, okay, of what each of these are. A lot of times people get these two mixed up. They think that their thought about a circumstance is the fact, that is the circumstance. But in reality, we are making a judgment or assessment, and that is the thought, and that's where you have the control. So that's why you see, something like, let's say something really tragic happens, and two people are experiencing this tragic event. Now, one person can have the thoughts and they can interpret the situation and assess the situation and turn it into something positive. They spin it and they reframe it and they turn it into a positive outcome in their life, and they come out stronger and better for it. And then you have another person in the same circumstance that has chosen different thoughts because of their belief systems. They've chosen different thoughts and they felt differently about it. They've become victims of this circumstance, and it has created really negative effects in their life. So it's really, really important to get clear that a circumstance, those are the facts, and your thoughts are your assessment of the circumstance. Now, your thoughts cause feelings. So in that F line, you want to write one word that describes how you're feeling. So a feeling is simply a vibration in your body. Sad, glad, mad, angry, frustrated, happy, grateful, etc. Okay? Those feelings cause your actions. Your actions are your behavior. And this can be an action or an inaction. So, it may be procrastination, or it may be, laying in bed, not doing anything. It could be paralysis. But that's the inaction, right? So your feelings always produce an action or an inaction, and that can be a response or a reaction. And then, of course, the R stands for results, which is what the action or inaction created in your life. And you can see over here that there's a little loop. This is where the loop is. And as I talked about earlier, that result that you get always proves the thought. So that's how we can reverse engineer. We can take a result in your life that you're not liking very much. What is the result in your life that you're not happy with? And you can always predict what thoughts you were having in that moment that created the result, because this is always, always accurate. That's one thing that I used to get nervous about when I would do this with other people. I would think, oh gosh, I hope the formula works on this one. It always does. It never lets me down. This always, always does. Any result in your life, you'll be able to reverse engineer it and see what thoughts you are having or that you are having around this particular topic. Now, we can, a lot of times, this line, the circumstance line, is if you're kind of analyzing what is actually happening currently, or if you have a circumstance that's happening in your life and you're wanting to figure out how to get the result in your life. But we can also just do the TFA. If you want to feel a certain way or have a certain result in your life, we can reverse engineer this to create to help you figure out what thoughts you need to be having. So just as an example, I actually left the C line out on this one, because what we did was I just put in the R line, the result line. The result that I want is no desire to drink alcohol at a party or a get-together. I don't want to have any desire to drink alcohol at the party. That's the result that I want to create. What would be the action that would create that result? Well, I'd happily be not drinking, right? I'd be super comfortable interacting with my friends. I would feel just as happy. I mean, I didn't write all this down here, but I would be just as happy at the party with or without alcohol. I'd be having a great time. I'd be enjoying myself 100%. That's the action. Happily not drinking, comfortable interacting, okay? So the feeling that I would need to have if I wanted to happily not drink and comfortably interact, I would need to be feeling pretty relaxed. I'd need to be feeling comfortable. I'd need to be really enjoying myself and enjoying my friends. So in order for me to feel this feeling, what are the thoughts that I would need to believe? What would I need to believe that would help me feel that way? Well, I would have to believe that I can have just as much fun without alcohol.
Not that I could have fun with alcohol, but I could have just as much fun with alcohol. See, that was a big, huge leap for me. Like I knew that I could have fun without alcohol, but I didn't necessarily believe that I could have just as much fun as without alcohol. And that's where I had to really work on changing my beliefs. I'd have to believe that I don't need a drink to enjoy myself. Alcohol distorts my view of reality. So what I mean by this is the belief that alcohol is actually distorting my view of reality. I think I'm having a lot more fun than I actually am because it messes up the brain and distorts my reality. So the truth is, I'm not necessarily having more fun when I'm drunk. I just think I am because I'm, out of it, and it's distorted my reality. And then another thought is, I'd rather not drink. I'll feel better tomorrow if I don't. So what I realized is I would have to believe all of these thoughts. I mean, and there's many more that I could write down too. I would have to believe these thoughts in order for me to then feel relaxed and comfortable and enjoy my time with my friends just as much, in order to happily not be drinking, comfortably interacting. And the ultimate result is that I have no desire to drink alcohol at the party. So basically, I figured out, reverse engineered how I would need to be thinking in order to produce this result, if that makes sense. So this is just an example. Now, the work comes in, we're doing the formula, but then we also have to learn how to change our thinking, which we're going to get into, I promise. But for now, we're just going to be practicing with this formula. We're going to be practicing putting different scenarios into this formula. And you can either reverse engineer it and start with a result that you would like. And then what would the action have to be that you would take to get that result? What would be the feeling that you would have to feel? What would be the thoughts that you would have to believe in order to create that result? So we're just going to be practicing this formula for the next day or two. And then once we really get the formula down, and you guys have a lot of clarity around that, we're going to be diving into then how do we change our thinking? How do we actually create these new thoughts? How do we unlearn and kind of deconstruct the belief systems that are holding us back and rewire some new neurons, some new thought patterns, and create a new set of thoughts? So, the other thing I want to mention too is you can, if you want to kind of dissect something that's currently happening, you can put the circumstance in the line and then write down what you are currently thinking about that circumstance or that situation, and then how those thoughts are making you feel, and then how those feelings make you act or react or not act, and then what is going to be the result of that. So you can do it both ways. You can reverse engineer it, or you can kind of deconstruct a current circumstance where you're getting a result that you don't like, just so that you can get clarity around what is happening and just around this particular formula. So I want you guys to really practice this formula around, throughout the next couple days. I want you to do front ways and back way and backwards, front and back. I want you to, try different combinations. Like, let's say there's a feeling, like here's another example of the way that you can use this. Let's say you are feeling frustrated and you don't really know why. Like, I'm just feeling frustrated right now. I'm feeling frustrated and I want to feel better. So you put frustrated in the F line. And then I want you to just really kind of check in with yourself and get clear about either A, what actions are you currently taking because you're frustrated, or you could go backwards and really start dissecting what you're thinking about that's causing the frustration. And then you take the same formula and you flip it and you think about, now, how do you want to feel? What is the feeling that you want to feel right now? Do you want to feel relief? Do you want to feel passionate? Do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel relaxed? What is the feeling that you're going for? Now, what are the thoughts that you would have to believe in order to have that feeling? This work takes practice, it takes clarity. Now, if you're having some confusion, or if it's just not as powerful as you'd like it to be, or if if there's, like I said, any confusion, please reach out to me, because I love working through this with people, and I love helping. I love seeing it click. I love seeing it where people get it, and then they're able to really, really do the magic in their lives and do the work that it takes to really change. So this is just the intro to start having you practice the formula. And like I said, in the next couple of days, we're going to start talking about how do you then begin to change the way that you think. Because see, as my example, I did this formula and I realized these are the thoughts that I need to believe in order to get this result, but I don't believe them right now. I don't believe that I can have just as much fun without alcohol. I don't believe that I don't need a drink to enjoy myself. I don't believe that alcohol distorts my reality, and I don't believe that I'd rather not drink. I'll feel better tomorrow. Like, that's a bunch of BS, and I don't believe it. So I had to get really clear about what my actual beliefs were so that I could understand what belief systems were holding me back from believing these things. Now, and then taking it into the light, like, is my current belief system true? Looking at each set of beliefs, is that true? Is that true? Is that true? What do I want to believe? What are the new thoughts that I want to believe? And then in the next couple of days, we'll dive into different strategies and ways of changing our belief systems, changing our thinking, and really creating the life that we want. So I hope that that's helpful. Please take the next couple of days to practice this formula. And like I said, please reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you need clarity, or if you want to just get on the phone and work through a couple scenarios or situations with me. All right? Okay. Have an awesome Thanksgiving and a wonderful night, and we'll talk soon.